This is a true 7.1.4 Dolby Atmos home theater system with wireless rears, a massive 10-inch subwoofer, and 980 watts of peak power. Usually, a setup with those exact specs on paper will easily cost you anywhere from $1,000 to well over $1,500. But this entire box, it costs under $700. I've been using the Ultimea Skywave X70 to see if it's a genuine budget masterclass that can shake your living room, or if there are some trade-offs that this price point has. Let's find out. So getting to the design and the puzzle build of the X70, it comes in a pretty tightly packaged box, which is, as you can imagine, mostly the very large subwoofer in it. The soundbar itself comes in 3 pieces, kind of in a bayonet locking style. It's a pretty satisfying mechanism, and they just click in, which makes the box much less wide. It's just a square box. It's unique, keeping the shipment pretty small, and surprisingly feels pretty solid when it's put together. Now for the actual component layout, the main soundbar has 6 drivers in it. Oh, I accidentally activated Bluetooth there, sorry. So yeah, there are touch buttons on the top, obviously. Anyways, let me mute it. So there are 6 front and side drivers in total, and then there are 2 upfiring on either side of the actual soundbar. And then the rears, which are back there in this setup, those have a single driver, and then they have an upfiring driver as well. So it's basically side firing and then upfiring in the rear. And then the subwoofer, holy hell. This has a massive 40-liter chamber, and then there is a 10-inch sub in there, which provides a significant amount of bass. Because it is exposed a little bit, you can even see the woofer move sometimes within it. I'm assuming it's MDF with some wooden veneer on there, or wooden vinyl or something like that. But on the rear, there's just a power button and a power plug. So one slight cable caveat is for the rears, is that the right angle cables, those might be tougher to interface with some speaker stands. So if you're routing it through standard hollow hi-fi speaker stands, that might be something where that could be tricky to route through. I'll link some stands below that work well with these rear speakers, just in case you're looking for that. But obviously you could also wall mount them if you want. It's a dual 5 gigahertz wireless system. So the nice thing is that when you plug those in, you don't have to run any speaker wires. Similar to the subwoofer, there's no speaker wires, it's just a power cable. The rear speakers themselves don't even link to each other in a wired manner, they just have their single power cables. So it's a pretty easy and clean installation overall. And one really nice thing is when we set all these up, they instantly connected. I was gonna go download the app. I'll get into the app a little later, but I was gonna download the app first and then check how to link them all or sync them or maybe hold the buttons, but they automatically all paired. I was pretty surprised at that. I've done setups for LGs and Sonos and stuff, and those typically require a little bit more setup to link everything, whereas these just out of the box worked. So you can see here, I just muted it. You can see the arc here. There's a nice little digital display. Essentially, if you have eARC on your TV, the best way to connect it is likely the eARC. You do also have the option of the optical audio cable, which is a very clean way to connect it to. Sometimes it's just going to interface better with the TV if you use the eARC. So just look for the eARC port on your TV. If you're considering buying one, maybe double check that you have an eARC on there, but you can do it with optical. There is no 3.5 in the rear, so just note that, but you can Bluetooth directly to it and connect stuff. So you can link your phone or your laptop or whatever device and then just sync music over as well. The eARC is essential if you want that uncompressed Dolby Atmos, which this system does support. So I'd highly recommend using the eARC in general. There is no Wi-Fi, so things like Apple AirPlay and Google Cast, that is not something that this will support. But there is an HDMI in and a USB, so you can connect stuff via USB as well. Regarding the 4K pass-through though, on the back of the device, that is something that does not support 144 Hertz. So like here's a switch 2 connected to it. So that's fine. That's a max output of 60 Hertz. On TVs, it does 120 locally on the device. You can see I just activated the switch there. But anyways, that connects and does 60 Hertz. So something like that would be fine. But a PS5 or the new Xboxes, those can do 120 Hertz. Or if you have a high-end gaming PC, which can do 144 Hertz or 240 or whatever, that is something that you would not want to connect. You'd want to connect that directly to the TV and not pass it through the soundbar. For the audio performance, let's talk about the good first. The low end is incredible. This subwoofer can get down to the 20 Hertz range, and it really provides that room-filling, kind of ground-shaking, wall-shaking performance if you want it. So much so that, you know, the bass here sometimes got to turn it down a little bit. If it's late at night, you don't really want to piss off all your neighbors, so it's good to have that right here. You can also do that in the app too. Gravis technology and the 10-inch sub are really excellent in terms of filling a space. I know Ultimea offers the X100 now with like dual subs and 2 extra side monitors. Just note that the sub is pretty large, so you'd have to have a very big room, I think, for that to make sense. In this setup here, that would make absolutely no sense. 1 sub is already pretty big for this room. So just note that the X70 will probably be more than enough to fill a medium to even like slightly larger size room. For the X100, you'd probably be looking at like a movie theater style room or like something much bigger, you know. For mid-dialogue and clarity for watching shows and whatnot, or movies in general that have a lot of dialogue, the performance is pretty good. The center channel clarity is nice because it has so many drivers in here. It is able to fine-tune that, and there is a mode in the app to have that voice clearness. So now for the 7.1.4 system reality check. This is an excellent, very immersive system, but it is not adaptable to a lot of different spaces. So that's something I think you should note, because you know this setup here, the TV's here, and the couch is directly behind. Maybe I'll get a shot right here just so you can see. It's in line, so the rears are perfectly centered in the back to the seating position, and then this is centered directly there. The sub can pretty much go anywhere, but in the app, there is no way to fine tune like listening position or map for the room. If you have a very unique room shape, this might not be one of the best setups for you. But if you have a generally standard situation, then I think it'll be very impressive and really good. There are 4 up-firing speakers because there's 2 in the rear, and then there's 2 over here. That's not gonna match, you know, like the LG SoundSuite AI system that just came out, which has the Dolby Atmos Flex Connect, or the Sonos that I've reviewed, where you can do the mapping of the room and it tunes for specific shapes and all that, right?
With frickin' laser beams.
So potentially the lack of room correction is why this is cheaper than some of those, but I would say the sound quality is almost on par, just a little bit below those. So that's something I'd like to see on a future Skywave, some microphone system where the speakers have mics in them or something, and then they can tune to the space. Because I'd say probably like 50 to 75% of situations I see where people have TVs are not the ideal acoustic environment in terms of like the TV's off center or something like that. And so I think developing that for the future systems would be something nice. Generally pretty rock solid overall in terms of the spatial imaging. Also, if you get the system, I highly recommend going to YouTube and looking at a Dolby Atmos demo. It's pretty awesome. It just shows you the spatiality of everything. So you can hear very like positionally based stuff in the system. So really cool demo to check out. Maybe on your current sound system if you want, just to see how maybe not good it is. And then when you upgrade, you can see the difference. So just a tip for you. But that's sometimes where the EQ presets can come in nicely. You can change the EQ mode here. So you can see like I have music, and then I have the voice one that I was telling you about, which enhances dialogue. Now there's a game mode. There's a night mode as well, which will reduce some of the harsher frequencies, and probably I think it pushes the bass level down a little bit. And then there's just the standard one as well. And then cinema for movies. Also, if you have a lot of Blu-rays, for example, that you play movies through, there is a lack of the DTS decoding on here. So if your movie collection heavily relies on physical Blu-rays and whatnot, it'll be able to decode it, but it won't be able to do the DTS spatial processing, just FYI. Now, getting into the app and the remote is pretty comprehensive. You can do most things that you can do in the app besides the specific like EQ tuning and whatnot. But you can go through those EQ modes like I was just showing you. There is also the upfiring on here, and then you do have the surround level as well. If you really like that immersion, then you can turn the surround level up, and then you can turn the upfiring pretty high, and then the rears will really come to life there. But yeah, then you have source, Bluetooth, all that, and you can control the bass level like I was showing you as well. But the app is a little more comprehensive and connects pretty seamlessly, so I'll just walk you through that really quickly. So here's the app, and you can see here you have EQs. There are preset ones here, and then you can control the surround, upfire, and upmix. This is what upmix is if you want to pause. And you can also do custom ones, so you can do the full band here, or on the style, you can choose a specific genre of music you're more influenced by, or whatever, or perhaps whatever you're listening to, you can push it a little more in that direction. I will say in the app, the volume steps can creep up pretty quickly. So just note so you don't get like jarring volume increases. You almost have 1000 watts of power. And so for a room this size, keeping it around the 25, maybe 30 maximum is all you really want to do. Past that, it just gets way too loud. But surprisingly, it does not distort past that. So who's this for? I think if you're looking for an audiophile grade, highly tunable, perfectly linear setup, then this probably isn't it. But if you're looking for very immersive sound in general, and you want something that isn't crazy expensive, but offers very good sound and immersion and a thumping bass, then this is that system, I think. If you really want a cinematic, room-shaking experience with very good immersion, then I think that is the exact customer for this, but at a fraction of the price of the mainstream brands. If you have any questions about the soundbar, let me know below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you want to see my review of the Sonos Arc Ultra system, you can see that right here. Or if you want to see these new Frame Pro TVs that launched last year, you can check that out here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.